Hey everyone, Caffeine Man here, and do we have a root beer energy drink on the market? Not many sodas, not many colas, not many root beers on the market, but Bum Energy went ahead and decided to make one anyway. It's coming right up. Hello again everyone, thank you so much for joining me today, really do appreciate it. And in today's video, we're going over Bum Energy from Chris Bumstead root beer flavor. And this is pretty interesting because, like I said, not many colas out there, but when it comes to root beer, a root beer doesn't taste like a cola. I mean, it's a soda, obviously, so it's going to have a soda vibe, but it is such a potent root beer flavor that it is something companies can accomplish. And in my video on Tuesday, if you didn't see it, I talked about potentially seeing a Dr. Pepper energy drink. I think that could be accomplished because it's such a unique flavor. You bump up the Dr. Pepper flavor, you don't have to worry about the soda flavor as much. You could do the same thing with root beer. I believe there are certain drinks that you can do it with, but it's very, very difficult. There's not too many root beers on the market. One of the companies that did a good job, in my opinion, was Bang. They had a good root beer flavor. Some people agree, some people disagree. But besides that, there are some companies that do waters, and they're energy waters, such as a Highball, Focus, a couple of other companies that do a root beer flavored energy water. And they can also get away with the flavor there because most of your energy waters aren't too potent in flavor. They're more potent in sparkling water flavor with a hint of some other flavor in there, such as root beer. But to get good solid cola flavors and soda flavors out there in the energy drink form, it's very, very difficult, and it's not impossible. But like I said, when you see the Caffeine Man rating chart, I'll put all the sodas up there, or all the colas at least. Most of them have been discontinued, so it's a difficult thing to do, but let's not worry about that. Let's go ahead. And don't forget to check out the first video if you want to know everything that's in these drinks. This is my original review. I've reviewed all the Bum Energy since then, but that goes over who owns the company, Chris Bumstead, all the ingredients in the drink, what it does in your body, and a taste test of those flavors. And since I went over all that information in that video right there, there's only one thing left to do in this video. Let's taste it out. And here's the can. And truly horrendous cans. First off, they're a 12-ounce can, and they're not your typical skinny tall can. They went with a little bit of a shorter can, and it just kind of looks funny. And the graphics on there is like from the 70s or something. The graphics are just terrible. The font on there for their logo, don't really like it that much. Not sure how critical of the can I was in my very first video, but as I've seen more of them, not overly fond of the overall look of it. And even the colors on here, I understand it's root beer, but that gradient just is not working. And only 112 milligrams of caffeine, so a little bit lighter on the caffeine than your standard 10 milligrams per ounce that most companies have, but not much different. Only 8 milligrams total. Well, let's go ahead, let's taste this bad boy out to see if it tastes like root beer. I don't have high hopes. Smells like root beer. Clear color. And of course, the reason why I am skeptical about it is not only is it difficult to get soda flavors into energy drink form, I was not a huge fan of most of the Bum Energies. They scored okay, but for every category that they were in, there were so many drinks that were superior to it that why wouldn't you pick one of those other drinks? But be sure to check out those videos if you want to know my exact feelings on the drinks. But since I thought that those were all pretty standard, pretty common, and just okay flavors, to tackle a root beer, it's a big undertaking. Let's taste it out. All right, go back in from the can. Just check one more thing from the can, how people drink it. that thing that I was checking was the carbonation level, and this is actually a low to medium carbonation. It is very light on carbonation, and sometimes I'm like, oh, did I get a bad can? But I don't think I did, because it just seems like they went lighter with it so that you get a smoother feel, maybe. That's what I say about all the drinks that are low on carbonation: smoother feel, smoother feel. But companies have been doing that to give you a smoother feel to it, and it's definitely a lot lighter, which typically I prefer a lighter carbonation for my energy drinks, but I'm not sure if it works for a root beer flavor. But before we get into that, sweetness is a high sweetness. It's definitely a sweet drink, and flavor profile is also a high flavor profile. So with that being a high sweetness, high flavor profile, let's talk about the flavor if it tastes like root beer. I first started sipping it, I definitely got a strong root beer flavoring, and then I got this little bit of a weird aftertaste on the end that quickly went away. I was like, what's that? And then it went away. And then as I continued to drink, the flavor did continue to stack. The aftertaste that I picked up on was starting to stack into a decent aftertaste as opposed to a little bit of a weird aftertaste. And it took me a long time to kind of figure out what was going on, because it is a very potent root beer flavoring, but because of that smoothness, it tastes a bit flat. And when you have root beer, I'm not sure if I've had a lightly carbonated root beer or even medium carbonated root beer. One of the reasons I don't drink root beer, besides not normally drinking soda, was because it was always making me so burpy. I don't know if it was because it was a specific brand or not, but I just remember root beer being very strongly carbonated. And with this lightly carbonated energy drink, it really doesn't give me that root beer feel like I'm supposed to get, that texture, even though it is giving me a strong root beer flavoring. And what do I mean by root beer flavoring? I mean that it tastes almost like, because it's so high in sweetness, it kind of tastes like it's a root beer syrup. And if they just bumped up that carbonation, I really think it would have given you more of a soda vibe to it. But instead, you get this sort of a root beer candy kind of flavor. Like you pop in those root beer candies and you're like, oh man, this is strong root beer. It's got that root beer candy flavoring as opposed to a root beer drink. So in one way, I think they did a really great job giving you a root beer flavor. I don't really think they accomplished a root beer energy drink or a root beer soda kind of flavor, if that makes sense to you. And the best way I can explain that is, do you like root beer candies, or do you like root beer soda? Because when you have the two things, even though they're similar, and you have to imagine that they're in here, this is the root beer, I'm holding the bottle from the bottom, and this is the candy, because they're about that big. But these two things, although similar, definitely aren't the same. You're getting this in liquid format in the Bum energy drink. So where's it going to be going on the Caffeine Man rating chart? Like I said, that low carbonation is throwing me off. I do prefer low carbonation, but in this drink, it makes it taste flat. Nobody likes flat, some people do, but most people don't like flat soda. And even though it does have that flat soda feel, I do think they accomplished a strong, solid root beer flavoring. So that, I believe, is gonna balance out where I had it. I've been going back and forth with a score, taking off a little here for the flatness, adding a little bit more for that root beer flavoring. So on the Caffeine Man rating chart, I am gonna give this an 8.7. Yes, 8.7. Pretty good score for a Bum Energy. Pretty good score for a soda as well. And the reason it's got that score is because I think that the root beer flavoring is so solid and so strong. Caffeine Man rating chart based on flavor alone. I think if you like root beer flavors, you're gonna like this because there's not many options for it. And even though it tastes a little bit flat, some people like flat soda, I think it could potentially maybe be the can that I have. But even if it's not, I don't take much off for it being a little bit flat, because I still think people are gonna like the root beer flavor. Think they did a good job with the root beer flavoring. So good job to Bum Energy. Although I haven't been a huge fan, none of their drinks have like really hit the nines for me. Still think they're doing a good job. Surprising that they tackled root beer, but did a good job tackling the root beer. So congrats to them. If you want to see that first video, I will put that first video right there for you to check out. If you want to see my follow-up videos for the other flavors, I'll put that video right there. You can check that out. Don't forget to check out caffeineman1.com to find out a little bit more about me and sign up for a newsletter going over what I went over last week, what will be coming up next week. That's called See in the Future. pleasure. And until next time, have yourselves a great day. Or night.